Great. Thanks, Antonio. So we're just going to we put together a bit of a Q&A for everyone to give you an update on what we've been working on. And hopefully we can share some of the knowledge that we've gained with the rest of the community. So Anthony, why don't you tell us, or anyone, why don't you tell us about why did you start ETH PR? What are the goals that you're trying to get out of this new community, out of this DAO?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Ethereum Puerto Rico group is an offshoot of the broader place-based global Ethereum ecosystem. So different cities, regions, even countries will host Ethereum focused events for developers, for users, investors. So in Puerto Rico, as the ecosystem and community is growing out here, when I relocated to the island last year, I wanted to basically create a space where people could come together. And that's what ETH PR is. And we focus on events, both for social networking and for kind of developer training, as well as education for DeFi, for NFTs, and also want to move more into hackathons and other kind of like impact events on the island and partner with local organizations that are already doing ground on the work and figuring out how to support them through DeFi and NFTs and kind of bring more cultural and community integration with the technology. So we have, as the community has grown, to sustain it and to grow to the next level, the idea is to have a DAO manage the group. And as we are designing and using the DAO, we're also learning how to effectively use these tools. So over the past 2 months, we have been learning hands-on with a testnet DAO. And we are at the point where we feel confident enough that we know what we're doing to launch a more open, broader beta DAO. So awesome. We've learned a lot in the process, mostly being what parameters that you can set the DAO to. And I think that's probably the most foundational thing. Beyond that, how to work in groups in a very open, decentralized fashion has been a big learning journey. And what I've learned is getting people to do what they are most excited and passionate to work on is how things get done. And hopefully, if we can design and deploy this DAO well enough that the community now has a token, the RICO token, that is used and valued to keep the DAO and community ecosystem flowing. So getting this token in the hands of more contributors, more members, using that to vote on governance proposals for how we both manage the organization, how we do payouts. So there's a lot to dive into, but it's very exciting as we enter into this new field of regenerative crypto economics. So it's very exciting to be learning hands-on and also in a fun and more like risk-free environment.
Yeah, awesome. So what would you say are some of the tools, and maybe people can reach out to speak in more in depth on some of the tools that we've been experimenting with. I know we've used OneHive, and we're launching on the Gnosis, or the practices on the Gnosis chain. What are some of the other tools that someone could reach out to discuss more in depth with us about?
I'll let Alex take that one over. Because he's deepest in the weeds in the technology.
Yeah, so you went over the OneHive Gardens. They created a framework where you can deploy your own DAO, including a token. And that's been a good learning experience. We're also recently set up Gnosis Safe, which is deployed on Gnosis chain, which is also another great technology, powerful technology that we're learning and we're leveraging. Other than that, we're deploying our own custom website that we want to integrate with the blockchain to create create like custom dashboards and custom experiences for individual DAO members, showing token balances, showing transaction histories, and also integrating NFTs. So these are just some of the examples that we've already been working with, but obviously the amount of tools and technology out there, it's ever expanding. It's all currently in development. So we really would like to take the approach of whatever technology is available to be able to use that to forward the mission of the DAO.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks, Alex. And so what are, I guess, give me one top highlight bonus and give me one top highlight challenge that we faced so far.
One bonus for me was getting help and access from the One Hive development team. So it's been nice to have kind of like responsiveness from their team as we've been on our learning journey. So it's kind of like having a shaman to guide the way. And now I feel like we've learned enough that we can kind of guide ourselves. And then the challenge has been that there are too many technologies to choose from, and any choice that we make, I feel like it's always going to be somewhere in the middle. So learning how to compromise with functionality and compromising with like what works now. And even though like this is, how do we get more people to adopt these advanced, like getting people to use wallets and having them be able to navigate? I think that's probably been the biggest challenge as well.
Yeah, great. What about you, Jose, Enrique, or Jonathan? You want to chime in on a biggest win or biggest challenge that we've experienced so far? Or Alex as well?
I would say that the biggest challenge has definitely been working in the obscurity, just being able to keep moving forward towards our goals, even though, we're rather new at all of this.
Yeah, it's been quite an adventure, a lot of experiments. A lot of experimental, lots of learning. I'm sure if anyone wants to reach out to anyone on the team, happy to.
Yeah, I would like also to add to Jose's point that it's been quite a challenge, the fact that there's so lack of guidance provided. So everything has been learned on the process. So that's out there. It's being, I think it's one of the biggest challenges. This is why we have made us such progress, but I think we're ready for the next stage.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Alex, did you want to add to that?
Well, definitely a lot of, I'd like to add to that, like it's been a learning process and learning some of the technology, how it works. And even these tools, they're still currently in development. So just being able to kind of understand that this system of organization, it's so new that it's still being developed. And there's not necessarily like a right way to do things. I think people are kind of just figuring it out, and it's kind of an interesting place to be.
Great. All right, now let's talk on timeline. So you mentioned we've been in beta. When are you expecting, or are you able to give an idea of when folks might be expecting the big launch news?
Yeah, so we've been in alpha since January. Yeah, right now, there's a funny saying, slow is smooth, smooth is fast. That's like the DAO mantra. And I think we have like 90% of the way there of what we would like to see for our next DAO deployment. And hopefully this will be kind of the final one. There is a Gitcoin grants round 13 that has just started today. So we're going to participate in that as the ETH PR community, so that we can hopefully attract some donations that we can then use to develop the beta. So that would be a website that is a lot more easy for newcomers to help onboard. That would also mean rebranding, and we are also on the cutting edge of legal operations regarding digital organizations. So having those things in place before we do the next launch is going to be important. But I think that at our pace, we're looking good for end of March, beginning of April, so that, you know, by the time the summer rolls around, we'll have a strong foundation to continue with our initiatives. And hopefully we'll be having more in real life events here on the island, as well as digital events, bringing together industry professionals and interesting guests who are doing really cool things in the space, both here on the island and then in the whole world, because there's so many projects that we can learn from, communities that are innovating. So I think we can be proud at the progress that we've made, and you know, our little island is doing something unique and innovative, because right now we're the only local community oriented DAO in the gardens, and I think that we're probably one of the few location-based DAOs out there already. So we're very early, and yeah, just looking forward to what comes next, because we don't know, and that's what's kind of exciting about it. So we'll find out.
That's great. Yeah, that's awesome. So in the meantime, what can folks do to get involved, to contribute right now? I know we'll be sending out the link for that Gitcoin campaign when it's ready. What else?
Yeah, so we have a backlog of videos that we recorded on YouTube. So if anybody really wants to go do a deep dive of our learning journey, we have solid 6 weeks of meetings online. We also have a meetup group. So you can go to meetup.com and look for the ETH PR community. So as we have new events, we'll roll them out. We also have a Twitter account, which is PR DAO, ETH PR DAO. That's the Twitter handle, is ETH PR DAO. I can leave those below, but basically, yeah, just wait for more information about events and about the launch. And we also have a GitHub. So if people want to participate in helping build out the website and some of the other digital products that we want to incubate, that's a great place to go to. Alex, do you have a link for that we can share for the GitHub, or we can wait till we get a forum post up?
Yeah, for sure. We can share the link.
Okay. But other than that, yeah, I mean, we're still using WhatsApp as our main communication tool, which is not ideal. And we're still waiting on so many other pieces to fall in place for the Web3 ecosystem, because we're still doing like one hand tied behind our back in Web2, and like one finger is free to go and press like the escape button on the keyboard.
Awesome, great. And I think, yeah, if, we were chatting with Alex today about maybe some live coding sessions. So stay tuned for those opportunities as well, for some developers that want to get involved.
Yeah, and if anybody has any questions, we have an email, info@ethpr.org. That's ETHPR.org. So if anybody really wants to get involved, and then we'll be doing a larger member onboarding with an airdrop for kind of the early community members for the RICO token. So we'll be releasing the tokenomics as part of the rebrand and relaunch.
Great, excellent. All right, thank you, Antonio, Alex, Jose Enrique. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Julia, for hosting this conversation.
Absolutely. Catch you guys next time.
Okay, take care.
You too.
Bye.